All right, joining us now on Drive the Lane. It's pretty cool, pretty crazy to be saying this. Legendary coach, Urban Meyer. Coach, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here.
Well, great to be with you guys.
Absolutely. You know, we want to start off. We're going to ask you a bunch of fun, cool, interesting questions. We're going to give you the floor briefly because it's important. Everything that's going on, Big Ten, Ohio State, what have you kind of been saying about all that?
I'm devastated. You know, Joey understands this, and I just talked to Josh Perry, is that the shelf life of an athlete is so small compared to everyone else's, livelihoods. You know, coaches coach for, I coached for 35 years. Josh Perry played for 3 in college and 3, I believe, in the NFL. So it's a six-year window. Some of these players will never get to play again. I am absolutely devastated that this has happened. And I'm not saying right or wrong, because you're talking about something very serious, the pandemic. I'm simply talking about the student athlete.
One thing that we talked about with JP on an episode of ours a couple weeks ago was, just like you said, we don't know right or wrong. We're not going to play doctor, but all we know is that we're frustrated and we're upset for the players, because obviously, like you said, the players' perspective that we have is unique, and it's almost like it's not fair to lose a year. Do you see the spring season being any sort of second place finisher type of deal? Is that all right with you to have a spring season?
Well, first of all, there will be no spring season. That when you hear that, that's not going to happen. And I understand there's raw emotion out there, and people are trying to solve a really difficult situation. But the current model of college athletics will not allow a spring season. You can't play in the spring and then turn around and play in the fall. You can't play in the spring and have the NFL draft and the OTAs and mini camps go on right afterwards. So that won't happen. I'm not talking about Ivy League or something like that, but Ohio State level football. Now, is there a possibility for January, February maybe? I think there is, because the most important thing is the health and well-being of a player. And the head, neck, and shoulder area, there's certain things I don't know and other things I do know. And that means that the impact, constant impact, and at high level, I'm not talking about practice and shorts, and I'm talking about game, which is high-end collisions, etc. Can't do that. So there might be a January, February, but there's no chance in the spring, late spring.
We could I'm sure we could fill like 2 hours of a conversation about this. And if there's anyone to do it with, it's you, of course. But we want to ask you some classic Drive the Lane style questions. So we're going to transition to those a little bit. So the first one from me, and the goal of these is to get you to kind of have to think a little bit. All right? Questions are not usually asked. So question number 1 from me. Would you rather win the Rose Bowl or lose in the playoff semifinal?
Win the Rose Bowl.
Is there a specific reason other than the fact that you want to win your last game?
No, because my body shuts down. I can't eat. I can't function when you lose a game. I tell people this, that one time they got, I don't want to get too deep, but I went to the University of Utah and I took a lot of heat for that. And there were some other schools that offered me jobs that were maybe in better conferences, but they lose all the time. And I told people, I said, you don't understand that I'd rather take a very good high school job, because you're going to win. I mean, there's just the way I was built. I can't function when you lose. I mean, that's something, I've gotten a little better over the years, but losing's not an option.
I would like to say I feel the same way, but I can't say I'm on that same level, I don't think, because especially in a sport like basketball versus football, there's a lot more games. So you have a different mentality of hey, you're playing in 2 days, so you got to right the ship.
You're exactly right. I see, like Lou Piniella is a dear friend of mine, and his record, it was some crazy number, but it's like 1,400 wins and 1,300 losses. And I was like, 1,300 losses? I think I had 30 some in my career, and I can tell you every one of them.
Well, not
I will say,
can go 89-7 or whatever it was at Ohio State. So it's pretty impressive right there.
My second question for you, Coach, is you're putting on your fantasy coach hat now. You have the next pick. It's the first round, and Zeke's on the board, and Michael Thomas is on the board. Who are you taking first?
Ooh, I'm not. Nice try.
That's too tough. It's not fair.
No, Michael or Zeke would end our relationship. So no, slash. Take them both.
That's fine. You're in luck. You had the last pick of the first round and the first pick of the second, so you get them both. So good answer.
Yeah.
But it's only
I'm not gonna tell you who I took first.
That's true.
That's fair enough. So, all right, those two guys are a good transition to this question. What's the earliest you've ever known that a player was going to be able to play in the NFL? Like maybe, well, I'll let you take that how you want to take it.
Oh, in recruiting, you saw it. I'd put Nick Bosa and Percy Harvin in that category. Percy Harvin he's my great player at Florida. I mean, the minute I saw the kid, I said, I not only knew he'd play, I knew he'd be a first-round draft pick. I've never seen one like that. That some of the things he could do, the vision, the violent runner that he was, and then the just flat skill that he had. And then same with Nick Bosa. The minute Nick Bosa, I watched him at St. Thomas, and I knew Joey. Joey, was a little younger, a little more immature, but Nick Bosa, I mean, that was you knew that was a done deal.
So how about this one while we're on the topic of players? You've been known to talk a lot about leadership, whether it's on podcasts, whether it's as a coach, and you've got it down pat, but people throw out great leader all the time. And sometimes they are that, sometimes they're close to it. But in your opinion, whether at Utah, at Florida, at Ohio State, who's the best leader you've ever coached?
I'd probably slash that one with Tim Tebow and JT Barrett. Those guys, that's it's being a little bit unfair to guys like Curtis Grant, Evan Spencer, Josh Perry. But when you're talking about the best of the best, Tim's right there and JT Barrett.
Do you have to be able to throw a jump pass to be able to be in that category of greatest leader ever?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
It's good. It's good that you picked those two guys because I'm curious. 2 minutes left in the game. You're down 4. Pick any of the quarterbacks you've ever coached for a game-winning drive. Who you picking?
It's hard for me not to take Alex Smith. I'm just watching what he's doing now after that. Really, he was my quarterback at Utah. My gosh, was he something. But then, you have JT, you have Tim Tebow, Dwayne Haskins. What about Braxton Miller? How many times did he win games for us? And, and then I look at Chris Leak. And so I know I'm answering them all. Then I got this kid named Josh Harris at Bowling Green that, my gosh. I mean, so I've been lucky. We've had all good quarterbacks.
What about outside of your quarterbacks?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like an all-time quarterback, are you taking Brady?
Yeah, Tom Brady. At the end of the day, in the athletic world, you're measured by wins and championships, and that's why it's not even close. And Michael Jordan, LeBron. I love them both, but you're just talking about pure championships. Tom Brady, no doubt.
So how about another? This is a little bit less funny, but more serious. The topic of motivation. I was fortunate enough to have a motivational speech from you a couple of times as a player. Once before a Michigan game that we ended up getting our butts kicked, but it wasn't your fault. It was because we had a couple guys injured, but that's another story. What do you think goes into being a master motivator, especially of young men? Is there something that you learned growing up, or is it just something that you, on the fly, were just great at?
I've studied my entire life. I was telling Josh Perry that I studied coaches, when it's kind of bizarre. I mean, I was studying athletes and collecting football cards like everybody did back in that generation. But I really started studying Tom Osborne's, Bo Schembechler's, Woody Hayes, Joe Paterno's, Bobby Bowden's. And so I really studied it. But this is really interesting. And this comes from my psychology degree that we actually did a senior project on this, the strongest forms of motivation. Here, this is one man's opinion. Motivation is short-lived, non-sustainable, extremely powerful tool for a leader. And it's built upon one of the 3, love, fear, or hate. Love is the only one that is sustainable. So fear and hate, we're living in a society right now that is driven by fear and hate. I mean, today, you're witnessing fear and hate. It is so yet non-sustainable. This fear and hate's got to leave our country, or we got a major problem. The motivated team, I used to laugh. They'd come out with the new helmets, or they, like you said, some great speaker come in and speak to them. That wears off. And I've used them all: love, fear, and hate. Love being the best, but fear, I'm going to pull your scholarship. You better do this. Hate, you're too soft. You can't do this. I've used it all, but those are powerful, and you get instantaneous production. But you're looking for transformational motivation, which I call inspiration, and that's built upon two qualities: love and ownership. That is transformational. That is sustainable. When you have a team, a family, an organization built upon love and ownership, those are the ones that not only survive the pandemic, they get stronger because of it. They don't only survive a loss to your rival, and they come back even stronger because they love each other, they care for each other, and there's ownership within the program. I know that's a long-winded answer.
It's a great one, though.
Every coach and every motivational speaker, they have their few things that they can always go back to and say. If we were asking your players, what would they say your most common, locker room saying is?
Probably work the game, or the most prepared team will win the game. And that's where I try to get the lucky T-shirts out of there, and the fact that I do believe in routine, but at the end of the day, you have to believe that the most prepared team. I've never been in a game where the most prepared team didn't win the game. And if that's in fact someone believes, then why work hard? Everybody go get the lucky T-shirt, and then we'll probably win every game then, that's a fallacy. That's not true.
So flipping the script a little bit, obviously you're with Fox now, talking college football all the time and bestowing your knowledge on all people who are not worthy now, basically. But I think you can answer this one. Who had a better college career, Matt Leinart or Reggie Bush?
Ooh, Matt Leinart, I didn't realize was 37-2, but Reggie Bush, I'm putting him as one of the best players to ever put on a helmet. Reggie Bush.
Matt Leinart probably remembers those 2 losses way more than any of those 37 wins, if he's anything like you, Coach.
Yeah, he is a great leader, man. I love Matt.
So my last question, and it's a 2-parter, but first, we just want to thank you for jumping in with us. We're obviously excited. We got up early. Joey looks like it's picture day at school, so he's
I haven't worn
excited.
A college shirt other than to golf coach in can't tell you how long.
So my last question is a 2-parter. First part, have you coached your last college football game? Second part, how many times have you been asked that?
I'll go number 2 first, a million times. And number 1, I believe I'm done. I'm living a good life, enjoy it. I feel like I'm giving back, so I believe I'm done.
And then my last question, knowing us so well like you do now, what positions do you think you'd be recruiting us for?
I'd have to evaluate the athleticism. I think, like you said, Joey looks like he should be a model. Andrew needs a shave, but other than that, I'd have to evaluate the athleticism.
I'm a slot receiver, Coach, just so you know. If you ever need one for a charity flag football game or something, I'm your guy.
I'll remember that, Joey. Thanks.
I'm a quarterback, 6'5", dual threat. So that's what you're getting from me.
Pass.
All right. Thank you, Coach. This was awesome. We owe you. If you ever want us on your show, we'll do it. We promise.
Take care, man.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.